Guys, I know I'm supposed to wait for the full countdown, but I cannot wait for today's show. I'm already smiling and laughing. I was telling my fiance, I am interviewing James today in a way that he cannot expect. So you all get to see it. Now, I know some of the answers to these questions, but I want you all to hear them. And there are many that I do not know that we're all going to get to hear together. Now, as you can see, this is all live. You see that, guys? I'll be honest with you. It was like one click setup, but I felt really cool when I did set that up. But we are completely live. Now, we are not live. If you are watching this back as a recording, I will say it's way more fun when you guys are live with us and participating. And I'm seeing a lot of new names today. What's up, Jody? I'm seeing Mike is back. Tim is back. Joe for the first time. Woods is baby, baby, baby back ribs. I love that. That's the energy we're looking for. Indy. Vise, we're seeing a lot of cool people. Kirk, what's up, guys? So awesome to see you. Michelle, we kind of have a nickname. It's not perfect, but we're going with Rudy's. We are Rudy's, okay? So it hasn't stuck to the degree I've wanted it to. So Michelle, if you have a better one, we're open to applications. And if you Venmo me, it goes a little further, if you know what I mean. No, don't Venmo me. You're going to get me in trouble. Michelle, I can already see you whipping out your phone. No, Michelle. Okay, now, the reality is, guys, this is not your traditional interview of, okay, James, so tell me about dividend investing and international and small caps and all that value stuff that you love. No, no, no. This is the James Show. You're going to learn about James in a way you've never seen before. And I'm going to take some of your questions and I'm going to ask them to James. I'm not going to take all of them, but I will take the best ones. So the 100 plus of you that have chosen to be here, thank you. You could have done anything else right now. And I hope this is the best next hour of your entire week. I want to say year, but I'm trying to set expectations properly. A lot of new people. Can't wait. Yes, Rudy's. Guys, Michelle likes Rudy's. That's it. It's done. It's Rudy's. Okay. Why the name Root? James just came up with it. Had nothing to do with his wife. We're going to hear today. Lots of fun to come. Put away your wallet. You heard her, Michelle. Okay. Every Wednesday. Not every other Wednesday, Lyle. We are back to every Wednesday. Now, to start this show, we have our Root Manifesto. I'm going to start doing this for our live shows that I just cannot wait for. Guys, please put in the chat now. What's up, Brian? Put a question in for James. I'm saving them on the side, and then I'm going to introduce them at the end. I'm going to ask your questions to James. So thank you all for those who have chosen to be here. This is going to be a lot of fun today. This is how we're going to get it started.
We all have an idea of what life could look like if we had more time, more money. But more isn't the dream. It's what's made possible with more. Doors open, paths clear, and the future you've always imagined becomes the one you're living. At Root, we see financial wellness as a key, not to having more, but to living fully, freely, with purpose. We're here to walk alongside you, to turn uncertainty into clarity, and what if into why not? Because when you have a plan in place, you live more, you give more, you grow more. Those are the mores that truly matter. The ones that change everything.
I listen to that song on repeat. I'm just manifesto on loop in the gym. Guys, I get the goosebumps every time. Does that not just hype you up? There is nothing better than today's show for that manifesto. Now, I see some of you are going Rudy's. If you're a little late, guys, we're trying to come up with what is the best nickname for this club. Tim's putting some good ones in. Cauliflower Club. I like that. Michelle saying, guys, this is worth finishing work early for. Michelle, good work. We're happy you're here. We need something with superheroes, some cauliflower in capes. That has come up in the past. Lots of great questions coming in. Guys, thank you for being here once again. Here's how we're going to start today's show. This on my screen is the very first email that I sent to James. So I'm going to read it, and you guys are going to get to see how this kind of relates to the questions today. So you can see here, I go, James, look at the date here, January 11th, 2018. I had an AOL email address at the time because I wanted to catch James' attention. I said, James, my name is Ari and recently ran into an interesting man. Quick pause here. I'm going to go back to interesting and what that means. But if any of you have been to a restaurant and then you're ordering and then you're eating with your friends and then someone goes, this is interesting. You know what that's code for? Bad. Okay, they just don't want to say it. This is interesting. Yeah, it's different. Bad. We can read between the lines here. Okay, we're Rudies here. Okay, so let's get back to it. So my name is Ari. Recently ran into an interesting man. Blocked out that name so you guys don't all kill him. Just kidding here, guys. Just relax. Okay, trying to keep it fun. Who says he went to school with you at Pepperdine? He mentioned you and had high praise for what you're doing. I'm a soccer player at the University of Puget Sound who's going to graduate in May. If your time allows for it, would love to chat about the chance to discuss the potential of someone working underneath you, as I'm impressed you already have your CFP and have started your own firm at a young age. Was quite the character, the person I spoke to, and I took what he said with a grain of salt, but nonetheless saw your website and was impressed. I'm currently talking to the Nuveen's and BlackRocks and Schwab's, but a small firm is what really interests me. If you're looking for a recent postgrad with ambition and is willing to do any work to learn, I'd be happy to discuss it with you. Attached is my resume. So that's how this all started. I would not be where I am today without James. And I think it's Wednesday today. So it was Sunday. I'm sitting in the hot tub with my fiance, my dad, my brother, my mom, and I'm just talking about how great James is. And they're like, I know you do all these podcasts with James going over like financial stuff, but would you let people like get to know him in the way that you're talking about him? And so I'm like, I'm going to interview him this week. So that's what prompted this. Now, James, I'm going to go ahead and bring you on because there's lots of great questions coming in. But first, thank you for being willing to do this.
I'm excited. I'm a little nervous because you told me up front, I'm not going to tell you what questions I'm going to ask. And I'm reaching out to people to get some good questions. So let's do it. I'm excited.
That's what I like to hear.
I'm sure you're going to bring it up, but that shirt is a blast from the past. So that's fun.
You're right, guys. I had so many things prepared. I went over this. So this is the initial Root logo, a big blast from the past. We have gone in a direction that makes us look much more professional, but I still have this. I actually have a second version of this, and I might be whipping out the Lululemon version at the next live interview. So Here's the first question. I'm going to start, James. This you can take in any direction you want. So please run with it as you see fit. But this is a question from all of you. Then I'm going to go to my question list and then back to you. So here's the first question. I'm going to put it on the screen right now. Does James ever turn off his CFP brain? When going through everyday life, is everything a calculation of how it impacts retirement? Or can he turn off that part of the brain and just enjoy the moment?
Yes, I turn it off. That part is actually very easy to turn off. And I say that because it's almost like I think a big part of our message and the things that we talk about is the money is not the everything. Like our goal at Root is to have advisors who are just complete masters and wizards at the financial stuff, the retirement planning, the tax planning, the investment stuff. But if that's the ceiling of our knowledge or experience, what we're doing, it's really missed the bigger picture. It's and honestly kind of boring, in my opinion. Really, the work that we're doing should be translated into, are we living better lives? Are we helping our clients live better lives? Are we helping people live intentionally? Meaning you could have the perfect investment strategy, retirement strategy, tax strategy, and have a completely miserable existence if that's the entirety of the focus of everything you're doing. So yeah, I like all the numbers and the problem solving, but it's almost like that's just the means to an ends. And it's the ends, which is that living fully, the manifesto video that just talked about articulates that well. That's more what I'm obsessed about is the life part, and the CFP stuff is just the means by which we get there. So very easy to turn off the CFP side of things. The life stuff, not as easy, but also I think that's fully integrated into every part of, I know my life, that family stuff, work stuff, hobby stuff, faith stuff, all these things should be integrated in a perfect world. So hard to turn it off, but also wouldn't want to turn it off for those things.
Beautiful. Now we're going to get into so many questions, guys, that I have ready to go. Thank you. Keep going ahead and blowing up the chat. If you don't know, James is the founder and CEO of Root, and I'm the Chief Growth Officer. So here's our first question. These are going to be on the screen. We're going to read them all together. Here we go. Your first employee brought food to the office that smelled awful. Is this why you moved Root to be a virtual company?
Yes.
I thought so.
No.
Now, why are we virtual?
Yeah. First hire was someone named Ari. He brought, I think, fish for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And I got a microwave, thinking we got a new team member joining, got to make sure that he's able to eat well and warm up his food. I did not know at the time that food was going to be fish times a day, multiple times a week. So that is true. And not too long thereafter, we went to become remote. No, that's not the reason, but that was a very funny early memory of our time working together.
Love it. Have you ever personally withdrawn from a Roth IRA before 59 and a half?
Yeah. When I started Root, I got fired from my last job. So I was not financially preparing to go start something. And there are setup costs. There's compliance, there's registration, there's getting your website launched, there's getting the tech tools, there's membership, all this stuff. So it was needing funds to come from somewhere. Did not have cash saved up or money set aside specifically for this, but thankfully I'd been pretty good about putting money into my Roth IRA each year leading up to that. So Root is kind of the Roth IRA was the seed money to start Root.
Wow. Which famous show was your dad on, and how much money did he win?
He was on Are You Smarter Than a Fifth Grader? And it was very funny. My aunt went on, the funny story of how it happened. My aunt went on, and I think my dad went to go watch, and they're like, hey, it's the final day of casting or something. We need people to try out. And my dad can just be a total ham. And he just went over the top, and he's very, very smart. And I think that one funny thing about this is, so it's Are You Smarter Than a Fifth Grader? I was homeschooled for several years, starting in 3rd grade through 8th grade, and my younger siblings were as well. So we had those, everything your 1st grader needs to know, everything your 2nd grader needs to know, everything your 3rd grader needs to know of books. And I think my dad only had a few days to prepare for it, but he went on the show. And some of the questions are pretty easy and some are really difficult. And one was, who was the only president never to be married? And I kid you not, I forget the exact time. I think it was only 2 or 3 days. He actually had to prepare to go on the show, but my sister was just doing flashcards with him, preparing him from that, what your 2nd grader or 3rd grader needs to know, whatever it was. And one of the flashcards was, who was the only president never to be married? I was like, James Buchanan, Garfield. I can't remember who it was, but he nailed the question. And anyways, he went on to the $500,000 question, got that right. And then for the $1 million question, what you do is you choose, they show you what the category is going to be. This is going to be math. This is going to be history. This is going to be, I don't know, biology. And then you have to choose, are you going to risk it all and go for it? If you get it right, you win $1 million. If you get it wrong, I think you go back to like 10,000. They give you something. It's like 10,000, maybe 25,000, a big step back from where you are. So he was at the $500,000 question. The subject comes up, social studies. And it's a good thing they called it social studies and not history, because I think he kind of was a little bit like, what social studies? What is that exactly going to be? If they had said history, he 100% would have gone for it, because he just is a history buff, knows so much about history. But he said he did not go for it. He opted out, so walked away with the $500,000 there. And they still give you a chance just for fun to say, here is the question. And the question actually ended up being, how many people signed the Declaration of Independence? And I believe the correct answer is 56. I think he guessed something like 54. So he did not go for it. The guess was off, and it's a good thing he did not. But he was with Jeff Foxworthy on Are You Smarter Than a Fifth Grader? I was in 8th grade at the time, so it's kind of fun to drive up there with the family and watch how everything gets made there in what is that, Burbank, Studio City? I forget where, but yeah, fun experience.
Is it true you only receive the payout if it airs?
Yes, you only get the payout if it airs. So he's just over the top. They ask a question like, what is the shape? This isn't the actual question, but what's the shape that has 4 sides to it? And he's got like, obviously it's a square. He's like, geez, is it a circle? No. Is it a triangle? No, just over the top, just ridiculous, because he knows, like, it doesn't matter if I ace all these things. If it doesn't get aired, it doesn't mean anything. So just kind of go running around like a little kid, and it was fun. But yes, you only get paid if it airs.
Let's cut to a clip. No, we've cut our commercial budgets. No clip, but that's always funny stories. What were the schools you applied to for college, and how did you ultimately choose?
I applied to UCLA, UCSD, Pepperdine, and I think Cal Poly. I went to Pepperdine. I don't remember why, but I remember thinking my freshman year, like, I did not take that nearly as seriously as I should have. Like, good thing I got into one, because what if I hadn't? I would have been stuck. I always grew up wanting to go to University of Texas. And I think that's just because in the video games and the NCAA football video games, I always played with Texas. And so thought the Longhorns were pretty cool, but was convinced I was going to go there, did not apply. I chose Pepperdine because in my less than thorough process of examining all the schools, went on a tour there with my dad, thought this is really beautiful. Why didn't I go here? They gave me a great scholarship, so they made it easy. And Pepperdine waves.
Love it. You mentioned this earlier, but you were fired from your last firm. If you did not start Root, what would you be doing right now?
Meaning if I was fired and didn't start Root?
Yes.
I would still be doing this, but I think I'd be doing it in a way that I didn't feel that great about. If I wasn't fired, I'd still be at that last firm. And I think I'd be doing my job, but I would feel like there's got to be a better way of doing it. Fine firm, but there wasn't anything about it or many firms for that matter, that I feel are that different in terms of everything just tends to be this, I don't know what the right way of saying it without saying something I shouldn't, but it's just, I would still be doing this, but I would feel like I was that person that was stuck in a little bit of a midlife crisis of, I'm doing this, I have a fine job, I have a family now, it's going to be difficult to go break away and do something different, and just wouldn't feel like I was that excited or was that fulfilling of a thing. So I would be doing financial advising, but in a far different way than we're doing it today.
Is it safe to say not waking up on the balls of your feet?
That is safe to say.
Have you looked into getting a vanity plate that says Sequoia?
What is a vanity plate? Like a license plate?
License plate.
I have not. I know you're big into the license plates. You and Alice have some fun collections, but it would be kind of fun. No, I have not thought of the Sequoia vanity plate.
Guys, the reason we bring this up is we talk about the Sequoia system. And James, I'll let you share a little bit about that. But yes, I am a big license plate guy. If any of you guys see vanity plates that are of interest or always clever or fun, always shoot me those. I love seeing them.
If it means that much to you, Ari, I'll consider getting that for the car. But unless that's the case, I'd also have to figure out, what is that, 8 characters?
Yeah,
No, it's 7. I could, it would fit, but
we could squeeze it.
Haven't considered it.
Do you want to share a little bit about Sequoia, just for those who are unaware of our process?
Yeah, the process, the Sequoia system is all about, I think a common experience is, I need to get a financial plan. And you go to an advisor, it's like, where do you start? Do I start by talking about my budget? Do I start because I have a need to increase the liability coverage on my car insurance policy? Do I start with, what stocks should I buy? And information alone is not enough. It's how do you organize and synthesize that information, and how do you create a foundation so that everything you do from a financial standpoint is based upon the right foundation. And that right foundation is kind of what I talked about earlier, is, what does a life well lived look like? What do you want your life to look like, with your relationships, with your health, with your hobbies, with your friends, with the things that actually matter to you? If we're not first and foremost starting with that, it's kind of, you're building the wrong foundation. You're setting the ladder up against the wrong wall, and you might be optimizing your finances, but to what end? What for? With the wrong ultimate objectives there. So Sequoia says, how do we start with the kickoff meeting is just an understanding of what's most important to you. A real deep dive into what do you want? What does success look like? What do we want to avoid? What are we excited about for the future? And then, in a very intentional way, structuring your income and cash flow plan to ensure that you've got the cash flow to sustain that you have enough income coming in to meet the expense obligations of all the things you actually want to do. Then that informs the way you should invest. That then informs the tax strategies that we can or should not, or should steer clear of, implement to optimize from a tax standpoint what you're doing. Then there's security. So how do we make sure that your estate planning or your insurance needs are met beyond that? So it's just a very structured way that obviously is customized to each individual person based upon they themselves, just in their goals. But there's a process to go through to fully address every aspect of what we believe goes into a really well-designed financial plan.
Beautiful. Do you personally manage your parents' finances?
I do. My number one clients.
What's that relationship like with finances and parents?
I will say I do remember feeling weird about it at the beginning, just from the standpoint that these are my parents. Like, they've taught me everything. And now it was just that weird kind of mental dynamic, not because of anything that they did, but just because it wasn't like a coming of age moment. It was like I'm inadequate to be able to do this, or I feel like you teach me, I don't teach you, or I don't guide you. But it's great. I think that they're incredibly trusting people. That they're just, I've learned so much from both of my parents, continue to learn so much from both of my parents, and it's amazing that they fully just trust me to say, yeah, we raised you, but we're trusting you with this, and you're helping to guide us now. So it's very cool.
I want to highlight something there. And you can see this is in our free community, the Root Collective. Someone went in here and put this post. I won't read the whole thing. I'm just kidding. Here we go. No, I'm not going to do it. But you can see they say youth versus wisdom. And he talks about that the fact of Root is that a lot of us appear relatively young, and we're transparent about that. Many of us in our 30s and 40s. And there are, of course, a wide range there. But James has a podcast called the Root Ready Podcast. And the Root Ready Podcast is designed to really get a better sense if you want to be the best advisor. Many of you are on this call going, hey, I'm either interested in working with Root. I currently work with Root. I'm an advisor that may want to work at Root. And there's a wide range of you here, which makes this fun. But James, I think it might be worth addressing a little bit, because you've already done it in this show here, about hey, how do we look at our age and experience and integrate that into everything we do here at Root? You actually went ahead and put together this quick video for the community that I'm going to drop. So if you guys want, you can go ahead and check this out after. I'm going to put it in the chat here. But anything you want to share just along these lines?
Yes, I remember when I started doing this right out of business school, and I did business school right after college. So I started at 22, 23 years old. And on the technical skills, I studied a lot. I learned a lot. I felt like the technical skills in a few quick years, like, you can learn a ton of stuff. You're always learning, and there's always new stuff that's coming out. Obviously, we just have new tax bill. We have new things to plan for. So there's always things that you need to learn. But the technical skills don't need to take that long to acquire, to be able to be a great advisor. But the technical skills aren't everything. And I remember thinking, gosh, I would have clients come and say, how old are you? You're 25, I'm 60, I'm 65, I'm 75. You're giving me advice. And there's this, I'm retiring. Do I want my advisor to have retired so they can, or about to retire, so that you can have that lived experience? And for a while I thought that's like, yeah, some of these things I'm just not going to ever have until I'm also in my 50s or 60s. There's some life experiences, until I remember one day it clicked for me that it's not actually time that by default is going to give you those experiences. I know some 65-year-olds that have, to put it bluntly, like, not done much with their lives. How much lived experience, how much wisdom comes from that? And I know some people who are really young that have so much lived experience, and they've done so much, and there's a tremendous amount of wisdom they have at a very young age. And so what I realize is we kind of look at life in this post-retirement and pre-retirement phase. Like, retirement is the reason we're alive. Like, retirement is the be-all, end-all. And I remember kind of thinking, like, just strip that out. All there is life. And you can have amazing life experiences, horrible life experiences, everything in between. And those are the things that you are gaining and developing wisdom and perspective throughout. And so you just put out a link, and I recorded a whole podcast on, like, how can we as younger advisors, or how can younger advisors who want to be better advisors, how can you accelerate that process? And a big part of it is just do do things on purpose, do scary things, like live a full life. And those people living full lives that aren't quote unquote just stuck in the rut of I'm doing this, like I might have been there if I never got fired. I'm in this job because it's comfortable. I never did the scary thing of launching the business. I never did the scary thing of asking my now wife out. I never did the scary thing of choosing to go to college when it would have been more comfortable to stay home and go to junior college with friends. It's like those scary decisions, those things that force and stretch you a little bit. That's where the lived experience comes in. That's where the wisdom comes in. So I think that a big part of our hiring process is like finding the people that have done things, that are human, that live, that have a zeal for life. You just naturally get a lot of that, and that makes you a better advisor. So
beautiful. Guys, we're about 5.2 to 5.6% of the questions I want to ask. Just kidding. It's a bad withdrawal rate joke. You guys know me. I'm seeing some of you in the chat here. Jonathan here says, I would love to work here. Submit an application on Monday. That's what we love, people who are excited. So thank you, Jonathan. It's cool. We have a wide range of people here. I do want to get back to the questions, but James, I want to spend a little time in the chat here. Mike is saying here, role reversal with parents. Yes, it is uncomfortable. Bill, I believe you just had your priority path kickoff with Chris. You're right. We are both Mazda owners, not Toyota. Janice saying, who's a greater influence? Is it James? Is it Ari? How have we influenced the other? A good question we can touch on after here. Brian is talking about the Sequoia system. Did you create this?
Yeah, I put it together and organized it. The individual components, tax planning and strategy. I didn't invent Roth conversions, qualified charitable distributions, tax gain harvesting, tax loss harvesting. It's like, those are things that are just part of tax law and part of, if you look at a CFP curriculum, certified financial planner. The Sequoia system was the result of saying, and Ari, you're part of the development of this. Like how many hundreds of people have we gone through this? And what we find is there is a right way and a wrong way to do this. If you, the way you start, the way that each of these pieces of information or these modules relates to the other, there's like a pyramid here. And we need to make sure that the bigger parts of the pyramid are at the bottom and the smaller parts are at the top, not because one's more important than the other, but because one does build on the other. And so yes, the Sequoia system is something we put together after working with so many people in similar situations, saying, when we see successful outcomes, it's because things are being done this way. Therefore, let's start doing things this way on purpose and continuing to refine it over time.
Beautiful. I think you're going to like this one. Who joined you on the back line of the Pepperdine rugby team for your super senior year with zero rugby knowledge and relied on you for learning everything about the game and rapidly became your favorite person?
This would be our head of talent acquisition, Dylan Thorwaldson. So I don't know. You've had Josh on here. You've had Dylan on here. Josh, Dylan, and I went to college together, which is fun, and took completely different paths in terms of work stuff post-college. And it's been very fun to not just say, let's now work together because we're friends and we should do it, but seeing as roots grown and needs have become very apparent or roles have become open, that I've seen and kind of seen Josh's skill set and Dylan's skill set, having known them and knowing who they are and fully trusting them and their character and work. It's been very cool to see how that's just kind of come together, not in a forced way where we're friends, might as well do this, but yeah, I can imagine more perfect people for each of those jobs. So Dylan and so we played rugby. I was the inside center. He was the outside center, which means we got to, I should have a picture somewhere. I'll try to pull it up maybe some other time, but we were on the back line together of the Pepperdine rugby team.
Love it. Love it. I hear you have a sweet tooth. Would you rather spend 6 months in federal prison or give up sweets the rest of your life?
I would rather give up sweets the rest of my life. Yes, I do have a sweet tooth. A lot of people think, oh, you got a lot of discipline. You do all this. I don't in some ways. You put cookies in front of me, I'll eat all of them. I just don't let them in my house. We don't get the sweets, don't get the desserts, because the second they're in there, I'm not going to have the discipline to abstain from eating all of them.
There's a lot of inmates who are going to miss out on the Sequoia system, but it is what it is. Okay. We know you're strong and all, but can you beat our head of culture, Josh, in leg wrestling?
Wow. No, nobody can beat Josh in leg wrestling, unfortunately. It's going to be one of our next Olympic events at the Root Retreat, but a little known sport of leg wrestling that, maybe Josh's biggest talent in life is that. So he takes it with regards to leg wrestling.
I think that clip is just for him. Okay. Here are some questions that I was thinking about. What's the most motivating retirement situation you've seen? Just an example, motivating as in, hey, I just didn't think they would maybe make it on X amount and they did, or they retired earlier than they thought and loved it, or they were worried about purpose and found it. Anyone coming to mind?
Yeah, I'll tell the story that most comes to mind, but it's kind of the reverse of that. Of a big thing I think about of how do you make the best decision, or what decision should I make in this moment is like I'll mention a lot. Like I like to just sit and journal a lot. Like every morning, I try to at least write for 5, 10, 15 minutes or so. And when there is a big decision and it's difficult to make of what should I do here, I try to envision James is 86 years old. He's sitting on his front porch with his wife, Ashlyn, thinking back on life. What's the decision that's going to minimize any future regret? Or what's the decision that I'm going to be glad I did make? What am I going to avoid least? Is one framework of just inverting that sometimes. And so motivating, I remember there was a client I worked with that I loved her. She was a single woman. She was working. She was in her early 60s, just the sweetest lady ever. And I work with a lot of amazing people, but I felt like a special friendship with this woman. And one day, we had gotten her to retire. We'd been working together for a couple of years. She was saving. And I remember she was always super responsive to my emails and to calls and everything. And I emailed her an update, checked in, and then didn't hear back from her, which I thought was odd. And like 2 weeks had gone by, 3 weeks had gone by. I was like, why am I not hearing back? Sent a follow-up and nothing. And then I got an email from her sister, who I didn't know, who said, hey, I'm really sorry to inform you so-and-so has passed away. And what was so heartbreaking about it is she had just retired. And she had shared all these things she was so excited to do with her friends, with her church, with the neighbors. Like there's so many things that she lived a relatively, she was one of those people who lived a simple life, but there's so joyful in everything. And like just everything made her happy. And I just remember thinking how like that experience, I think, shaped a lot of the way I think about things from a retirement planning standpoint of how guilty are all of us of planning for the future, planning for 30 years out, planning for all these things, which we should do, but she never got to experience any of that stuff. And so what's motivating is how do we help clients to say, yes, we need to be prudent. We need to make sure that we're planning for the future and we're going to be okay, but also tomorrow's not guaranteed for any of us. And especially the older we get, I've got to imagine a lot of people on this call, like you know someone, maybe it's family, maybe it's friend, maybe it's a coworker who, same thing. They were 57, they were healthy, they dropped dead of a heart attack. They were 63, they're getting ready to retire at 65 and the cancer diagnosis. Or maybe it's not passing, but they retired and a big health event and they weren't actually able to be active, do anything they want to do. So I think that it's motivating in the sense of don't take anything for granted and live fully, and make sure that retirement planning isn't just about retirement, but it's also about living fully today as well as preparing to live fully in the future.
Beautiful answer. I want to go to the chat because there's a great question from Scott who says, as Root continues to grow from the first seedling to a forest, your work has transformed to reflect a different company. What have you found surprising about your personal work transition?
I mentioned, there's a guy named Michael Kitces, who's a very popular podcast for financial advisors. A lot of people listen to it. I kind of shared the same story that I was very surprised that I would have so much fun working with team members. Like I remember my last firm, I was like, I'm a horrible manager. I don't like actually work. I would rather just sit in my office and crank out work and get it done and take care of clients, because it just felt so difficult to manage. And so I took that as, I'm a bad manager. Like I'm just not the person that should try to build a team. Like I should just try to do the super lean, work with a handful of clients, and it's just me. And I remember before launching Root, because there was about a 3-month time period between getting fired from the last place and launching Root, that obviously you're building and preparing. But I remember taking a full day. There's a campsite down here in San Diego that's not too far from where I was living at the time called San Onofre. San Elijo, yes. And it was, I just remember when there's picnic tables there's campsites, and I just took a journal and sat there all day of who knows what it becomes. But the big decision of, if I am going to build this in a way that it's just me and it's super lean and I have a handful of clients, versus if I am going to build it and try to grow a team and try to do something bigger than me, you kind of want to start taking different steps even from the very beginning, depending on which path you think you're going to go, even if you don't have it all figured out. And I remember going into that thinking, yeah, it's probably just going to be me, and that's what I think is going to make most sense. But as I started writing out, kind of reflecting, like, what would I be glad that I have done? What do I actually enjoy most about this? What could have the bigger impact? What would be? I walked away feeling super compelled that no, like the most fun thing, the best way to do this would actually be to build a team. And maybe if you get good systems and good structure and good culture and good, you don't have to manage people. You just get the right people on the team. You give them the structure and you give them the processes, you give them the ways of working, like you give them the tools to succeed. Like, what I love about it is I don't feel like I have to manage anybody. Like, everybody here is such a self-starter. Everybody here is so aligned with the work that we're doing that it's, yeah, there's feedback, there's coaching, there's guidance, but I've never once had to tell someone, work harder, do better, do any of this stuff. And so what surprised me was how much fun it would be to work with a lot of people, because it's really easy, I feel like, in some ways, to be a quote unquote manager here at Root, because we have such great people. And obviously that's because a lot of work was done to lay the foundation, to set the culture, to set the structure, to do some of the things. But now it's just like, yeah, I get so excited when new people join because we have such wonderful people here.
Love it. I'm seeing a lot of comments come in on your last story, James, of the woman who passed away. Oh, wow, that's sad, comes from PETA. I always think of that. And that was a lot of the reason I retired in my 50s, so I could still enjoy life as much as possible. Jody, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe you're here for the first time. I homeschooled my children and love that we got to travel to learn many things. We've always lived each year. I stopped work fairly early in my career because money is not everything. Scott, welcome. Seems you're a newer subscriber to the podcast. You're in the software, learning the academy, putting up with my jokes, so appreciate it. And Janice, always love these comments. Going back to some more questions, I'm going to go a little faster here. So we went over this. Okay. So this is a tough question, but I want to see if you have some insight here. If Root was required, in the same way we will require a spouse who says, hey, we just can't spend enough money this year. I couldn't spend this if I tried. James came up with the brilliant question of, well, if you don't, we're going to send the money that we would have sent to you to your least favorite political party. Now, what are you going to do? And that will get a spouse in a meeting to start talking, who traditionally may not find finances the most interesting. We would argue they do. They just haven't had it portrayed in a way that resonates with them. So back to the question, if Root was required to spend $10 million over the next year on new developments, what would you spend it on?
It's an interesting question, because I think a lot of times we frame that question as to someone that has trouble spending. They're very much a saver and they have trouble actually spending. Root does, like, we don't have that. In fact, tomorrow we're doing an internal presentation to the team of, just from the standpoint of the teams entrusting Root to take care of their livelihood. We need to ensure that Root's being managed in a way that, yes, we're growing quickly, but we need to make sure that the financials are solid and that there's money in the bank and that we're maintaining healthy margins and that we're taking steps necessary to balance the sense of, like, there's so much opportunity, so many clients we want to be able to serve, so many more things we want to do, but also we got to make sure we're doing it prudently and wisely and managing the just company financials. And so that's going to be an internal thing tomorrow. So there's no problem spending from the standpoint of really everything that Root has earned in terms of profits has really been reinvested right back into growing the team, growing the services, growing the footprint of what we're able to do. But I would say that if $10 million landed in the company bank account today and it was like, you got to go do that, it would be a continuation of what we are doing. And we've talked about our growth philosophy. It's not just hire at all costs and bring on anyone and keep there. I won't go into that now because it's a bit long. I was talking to Kevin yesterday, who's a client here, one of our advisors, and we had an awesome conversation about something separately. And I don't know if Kevin happens to be on here or not, but he and his wife, he shared this really cool thing with me of how they've done well. And once a year, he and his wife will go away, will take a trip and think really intentionally about their life plan. Wait, what are the various domains of our life? Our grandchildren, our work, our time together, our, you fill in the blank, all the things that they feel like they want to manage wisely. How do we feel we're doing on each of these things? What is a thing that we could do? And he brought some awesome examples like, hey, grandchildren, each of our grandchildren, like we're in this phase of life where we both have our energy and we can like prioritize each other, but also our grandchildren think we're the coolest people in the world. How can we not just have a great financial plan, but how can we tie that money to invest in this amazing season of life? And I forget exactly what he called it, but their grandchildren, when they reach a certain age, get to say, you choose a trip. You want to go see the pyramids in Egypt? We'll go see the pyramids in Egypt. You want to go on a safari? We'll go on a safari. You want to go wherever? We'll go there. And so it's not just this, here's our finances over here and here's our life plans and our goals over here, but it's this very integrated sense of let's take a week away, build out. And he actually has like a plan, a formula, almost like just that a life plan of here's what's most important. And then it can get connected to now here's how we're going to actually set aside the money and calendar that thing that's important for me and my wife to do to invest in our marriage. We're going to calendar that thing that's important for us to do to prioritize our grandchildren, and we're going to set aside the funds to take care of it. We're going to prioritize that thing, and that thing can be anything. Getting a trainer for the gym, donating money to a cause you care about, setting aside the money to take the whole family on the trip. So it's just this continuation of how do we talk about this message, but I would love to invest in something where it's how do we build the framework that clients could use? Because I think everyone has a desire for this, but the framework to say, how can we do this? How can we dream about what life could look like? I would love to be able to facilitate things like that. I would love to, so there's so many things, Ari, you and I have talked about, many people on this team have talked about of what can Root do? Money is not the only thing required to get there. Although, 10 million was there. That's something that we'd build out along with all the other millions of things we want to be able to do for clients and for the team.
Love it. If Kevin is accepting new grandchildren, I will put in an application. At the same time, you guys heard it here first. Of the 10 million, James has agreed to spend 9.9 million on the Root soccer team, and the additional 100,000 straight to the Root, just straight to Root priorities. You guys heard it here. Now, there's talk of a Root camp. Is this for like a camp? Are we all going to San Elijo together? Is that where the Rooties meet up? Like, what is this? Give us a teaser.
Root camp. So this is something I remember first trying to think about a few years back, where consistency of service is super important to us. There's much larger firms out there. I'm not going to name names. Like, you could think of big banks, big wirehouses, big brokerage firms. It's like they have thousands of advisors all over the country. The difference between what we want Root to become and what that is, and this isn't to knock on them, it's like, yeah, those advisors, they might as well all be, in many cases they are, just they're independent contractors. They're freelancers operating under the umbrella of XYZ firm, which means if you go to 10 different advisors in the same office for one of these big, you might get 10 different experiences. Nothing wrong with that's a fine business model. Those companies obviously are very profitable, do very well, but that's not the experience we want clients to have. We want it to be such that, if you go to a Starbucks here in San Diego, or you go to a Starbucks in London, you're going to get the same experience. You're going to get the same, what you're going to get. Not that Starbucks and Root are the same thing, of course, but we want there to be this consistency of experience that regardless of what advisor you're working with, that advisor probably has their own specialty. They've got their own unique personality. They've got their own unique story. So it's going to feel very human. It is very human, but there's certain things about the experience, about the way we have and implement our investment philosophy, the way we train on what tax strategy should be prioritized and what series of events, the way we think about just even the overall philosophy. What is this money for, and how can we apply it to a bigger purpose? And so Root Camp is this concept of, could we almost start to train? And there's a lot of advisors that want to work at Root, which is we're incredibly grateful for. Not all this. So can we create this thing that's outside of Root, where we can start to train a lot of people on how we do things at work, get them up to speed, start have an impact bigger than just what we're able to do in the work here at Root. And then some of those people naturally will become advisors at Root. And when they are, they're able to hit the ground running. And they've kind of been, I don't want to say preconditioned, but there's this sense of like, oh yeah, we get it. We know how Root works. This totally aligns with our skill set. This totally aligns with how I'm being developed. And so what that leads to is just a better experience for Roots and clients, because there's this sense of, if you go to some of these really prestigious, whether it's medical schools or consulting firms or whatever, tech companies, they're investing a lot of time up front into training and developing you. And it's kind of, how do we do that same thing? So by the time someone's actually sitting across from a client, we feel so confident in the experience that client's going to have because of all the work and the time and development that went into training each person at Root before that conversation actually happens.
Beautiful. You've addressed this to some extent already, but what impresses you most about the team members at Root?
Yes, I think the three things we look for, as we've talked about before, what are the three high-level criteria? Okay, there's hungry, there's humble, and there's human. What does that mean? It means hungry, like someone that we don't want someone that's ever satisfied saying, yeah, I passed my CFP, I passed my Series 65, I'm good. Just give me a client. No, that's not the type of person we're looking for. We're looking for the people that have this continuous drive and thirst to be better, both for themselves personally and for their clients. So that's the hungry part. The humble is a sense of it's just not fun working with arrogant people as a client or as a team member. So is this person humble? Is this someone that we enjoy being around? And that's obviously just becomes part of the culture. But then I think the third part is of the human piece of what impresses me most. Maybe it's just how fun everyone at Root is, because everyone is that human piece. They're not robots. A robot can be hungry and try to always get better. They can even be humble, but it's like, is there a human element? Is there someone that these people are outside of work? And I think that we have such insanely talented people that are also such a joy to be around and to be with, that it's impressive to get all three of those things in one person. Easy enough to get one of those things, but when you have 50 plus team members that have all three of those things, it's really cool and impressive.
And shout out to Dylan, who's doing a lot of work, as well as the whole team on that side. A quick pause before we go to James' favorite cheat meal. I say this during all my live shows, but this is a weekly live show. It is completely unscripted, other than the fact that I have all these questions I put together for James today. But normally I'm bringing on my different advisors. Last week was awesome. You got to see Root Relaxation with Harry. Caleb came on and did a great job. Went over his geo-guessing. For those who have not seen it, check that out last week. I use this platform to highlight the amazing team members we have. We love getting to do this. James is the founder of Root. He has his videos he posts on YouTube. I'm the chief growth officer at Root. I post my videos on my YouTube channel. We have a joint podcast, Root Talks, where we actually address your questions that are put into our free community, the Root Collective. Now I'm going to take a breath and be able to ask you, James, what is your favorite cheat meal?
This isn't a meal, but I mentioned I've got a sweet tooth, or it was asked of me that I have a sweet tooth. I think I know who asked that. There's a place called Lazy Acres, and they have this cookie that's just a super simple chocolate chip cookie, but it's enormous, and it's the best thing I've ever had. And it's called the cookie. Like, you go to the back corner and ask for the cookie, and they know what you're talking about, and you get those, and it's just unbelievable.
Is it warmed up?
It is. I actually like it when it's not warm, weirdly. So it is warm, and we just wait for it to cool down and then eat it. But no, it's that plus ice cream. It's super simple. I wouldn't call myself a foodie. I used to be the worst before I got married. The meals were embarrassing, but just something simple. But
don't worry, James. I know a great fish recipe that we can bring back if you need it.
It's no microwave salmon for breakfast, but it's up there.
Are you familiar with the dual temp movement at all?
No.
Okay, so I'm not a foodie to the nth degree, but my fiance and we get married in less than a month now. We love getting to go out and look for dual temp. So that's desserts that are served cold and warm. So it would be getting the cookie warmed up with vanilla ice cream, both in the mouth. Oh, so good. So
well, I guess maybe because this cookie, it's so thick. The way that it's like inside, it's still kind of a little doughy. On the outside, it's like a little crisper because of, you've got this giant chunk of cookie dough cooked for however long, probably at high temp. So yeah. I wouldn't say it's dual temp like you're talking about, but there is that element of, okay. Anyway, we got questions to get through. So
we got questions, but still on this real quick, favorite ice cream?
Rocky Road.
From Handles?
Just anywhere. Nice. Yeah, Handles. I don't think Handles actually has a formal Rocky Road. I think they got some like knockoff, if I remember correctly, but something like that.
Throughout the day, sparkling water or still?
Still water.
always?
Yeah, I mean, sparkling's fine, but I just never got the big deal of it. It's still.
Could be the most controversial thing James said today. What's your favorite musical and why?
I love Hamilton. And why? There's something about Hamilton where there's a mix. It's just, I think, like, I'm not a big music guy. I like music. I love listening to music, but some people it just speaks to them. I'm like, I know I like it. I'll put on a song and it's cool, but it's not touching me. It's not like impacting me at its core. But there is something about Hamilton that's a mix of one, just like the genius of the lyrics and how it's written and just the composition of it all is incredible. But two, just this like kind of the humanity of it all, of this inspiration, but this guy that's got dark side and wrongdoing, but he's awesome. Like there's just so many, you laugh, you cry, you're inspired, you're depressed. Like there's just all these things that tie in beautifully in that musical, and it's all just super fun. I gotta articulate better why, but there's something about Hamilton that that is a soundtrack that I probably listen to any other more to than any other song or album, certainly.
I know we've talked about Hamilton. You can see, I can hear it right now. Like, I'm not throwing away my shot. James is not throwing away his shot, says Money in Marathons here.
Yeah, he's got a song called Nonstop. And there's something about that like, you kind of take for granted, even just as a country, like, yeah, no country's perfect. We're not perfect, but it's this beautiful story of like where we are didn't happen by accident. And there's just some really cool things that set off chain reactions. And in some ways we like we aren't where we are by like, what can we do so that we can improve the livelihood of other people in the future, given the position that we're in? So there's just, I don't know, a lot of things I love about that musical.
Beautiful. Mike here is saying, Ari, where's the compliance statement? I love that part. I always go through it quickly or poorly or get made fun of there. So Mike, maybe I'll do that for you at the end. Here's my final question. And then I have two more that have come from the audience. And then I found one or two that I would love to address if we can steal a little of your time, James. So last question I have here. Conole family vacations. Do the parents come? What do the kids spend their time doing? Do you go to the same spot every year? We had a lot of people, I think it was 2 shows ago, who were saying, is James going to move to Aspen? Is that the new HQ? We see Colorado employees, like they're trying to connect the dots. And I'm like, I might be out of the loop here. So are all Rudies allowed to come? What's the deal here?
Yeah, vacations. Parents come. So our daughter Sutton, she's now 3.5. And we took our first trip, Ashlyn and I, with Sutton, I think when she was 9 months old, 10 months old. And it was exciting. It's our first trip. It's our first trip as a family, not just me and Ashlyn. And it was just a disaster. Every meal was a mess. And we're like, we might never travel again without parents coming along. So ever since then, either her parents or my parents have come, which just makes it great. You get to spend time with your parents or with your in-laws. They get to spend time with their grandchildren. It helps out a ton. We just got back from that trip, obviously, maybe, 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago. Ashlyn and I can get out and do things. So, so the parents come and it's just awesome. And we do a little bit of everything. I'm sure these are going to change as the kids get older. Our son wasn't a year yet for this last trip, and Sutton was 3.5. So as they get older and bigger and can do different things, the makeup of those trips will look a lot different.
Beautiful. I know I said last question and it says it there, but there's one more that I found that's really good. I'm really sorry, but I don't have the name of the person. The username, it appears I cannot find. So sorry about that, but this was a great question. What advice did your wife give you when Root was just you?
Well, she gave me the name. Saw someone ask that a while ago. What advice? I don't think there was much advice needed as much as just stability and encouragement. Maybe I'll tell the story sometime on one of these live shows. It was kind of a wild ride from getting fired from it was more than just getting fired. It was a very wild 3-month time with a whole bunch of things going on. And so it wasn't advice on here's what to do as much as just some stability and encouragement and survival during that time. We weren't married yet, by the way, when we launched. We had just started dating. When did this happen? 4 months, 5 months prior to getting, maybe less, 3 or 4 months before getting fired from my last position. So we were still that honeymoon phase of dating kind of quickly came to an abrupt end, and it was more survival and get through this. So the advice was just more around continued encouragement and support.
Beautiful. I'm going to address some in the chat, and then there's 2 final questions that you guys had submitted earlier. So I'm just going to go through these quickly. Laura and Shane, what year was that email? So for those who do not recall, at the beginning of today's show, you can see right above me, this is the email that I had sent James in 2018. So that was the
You
first
knew where I
email.
was already when I got that?
I don't know where you were.
I was sitting in a GoPro office right next to Josh Curry at the time, who's now our head of brand culture. He was working at GoPro. They have an office that used to be here in Carlsbad, and I think they had just a big portion of their staff had just been laid off. So it's this big, epic building that was pretty empty. I didn't have an office space. They had free snacks there that I probably wasn't supposed to be eating, but I was sitting next to Josh when I got that. So things kind of came full circle of Josh is now here. It was our head of brand culture. You're now here. And 2018 was years before all that happened, but the 3 of us were together in that moment.
Oh, that is wild without me even knowing. Awesome questions coming in here. So much I want to address. We'll probably do a part 2 of this because there's so much that I want to get to that I just cannot. So thank you for all of this. A lot of people putting in here, hey, grateful for all the videos, which encourage us to retire early. We're willing to buy the M&Ms from the mini bar. You guys get it. And this is why we love getting to do this. Woods here saying, I carry a 10 bill everywhere just to remind me of Hamilton. So really cool to see all the people coming in here. My final 2 questions, and then James, if there's anything you want to address, as always, chime in. This comes from Janice earlier. What books are you reading right now?
What am I reading right now? I probably have like 5 that I've started. I would say that reading is something I love doing, and have taken a temporary hiatus on after, Rush is now 1, so I don't have an excuse anymore. But there's a fine balance between reading and doing, I think. Like I do love reading books that aren't just self-improvement or business or whatever, but I also do love reading the business books and some of the things like that. So I'll read a lot in spurts and then realize time to stop reading and time to actually start implementing some of this, because it's very easy to read and get inspired and think about stuff. I think where people don't do enough is the actual implementation. How many hundreds of books have some people read and their life's no better off for it? So I may be in a phase of taking some of the learnings and the readings and implementing, but no current active books. That's not true. I'm skimming some here and there just for interesting insights, but more trying to do some of the stuff now.
Really wise. I also want, just because I hope you guys have resonated with this episode. If so, please do like this video. And then, of course, comment below if this was something that did resonate. But please know, I'm going to go to James' final question in a second. But if this was an episode that you enjoyed, Jay is our client success manager here, and he's recording episodes similar to the one I'm doing with James today, where you're just getting to know everything about him and more, hopefully. And he's doing this with our amazing team members here. So he brought on Naomi. This was literally dropped an hour ago. I will also host a show called Root Drops. This is more on the financial side, more of just strict competency, going over inheritance or conversions, way more on the technical side, but still keeping it certainly human. This is strictly where if you have, for example, I know Bill is here. If you're still with us, Bill, he had spoke to Chris Brown, and Chris Brown is an awesome advisor who I had brought on. We talked about Roth conversions in great detail. And then Jay, our client success manager, talked to Chris Brown just about Chris. And so this is something that we're starting to launch because we want you guys to get to know why James shared he's so excited about the team members here. It's one thing to hear it. It's another thing to hear it from them. So make sure to check that out. That's on the Root Financial YouTube channel. I know because many of you have emailed me, it's hard to find. I'm going to put the link in the chat. So it's right here. It's in the chat. But my pro tip is if you need to go find it, it's a little search, not too long. But if you go to James Conole, James will come up first. If you click on his face here, all I want you to do is I want you to scroll to the very bottom, and you'll see both myself and Root Financial. That's where you can click on Root and see all of our team and more in the videos here. The episodes that I'm doing, if you are under myself, you can always click on my myself here, and then live. You can see we are live. This is like live inception right now. So you can click on live here and see exactly where we are, as well as any previous shows where we talked about how we're rebranding. We talked about Dylan, who's our head of talent. You can see his excitement already just in that little GIF thumbnail. I still don't know if it's GIF or GIF, but we're going to go with it. And this is the final question I have for you today, James. This was from Brian earlier, who says, when and how did James develop his advisor business plan that led to the beginning of Root?
So I think that I'm not a huge fan of like the 50-page, 100-page plan. Here's everything that's going to happen, when it's going to happen, as much as I am of what systems are we building to move us in the right direction? What's the North Star that's guiding everything that we want to do? And kind of whether it's with life, whether it's with business, whether it's a financial plan. Plans, there's just so much with a plan that is based upon assumptions about the future, which are inherently unknowable. So I think with Root, it was done with this more, how do we create systems? How do we create a place that if it is going to become something, what are the things I can do today that would make this a place that really amazing advisors would want to call home one day? How do we develop something that would attract the best and the brightest, that would retain the best and the brightest? So it's not like I could not have told you anything 7 years ago, 8 years ago about what Root would become today. And that also doesn't really matter. Like, as long as you're taking iterative steps, you kind of know what's kind of at the heart of the mission of what you're trying to do. The opportunities present themselves. And if you have kind of that North Star, that mission, or what you're trying to do, it just becomes a filtering mechanism for, is this the right opportunity? If so, take advantage of it. Is this not the right opportunity? Is this something that doesn't align with who we are, what we want to do? Is this team member that comes along that's super smart, that's really good at what they do, but they lack humility, or they lack the humanity? Great. Like, I've got this filtering mechanism. So there wasn't any master plan that led to, I'm going to launch this YouTube channel and podcast, and so is Ari, and then we're going to have Root drops, and then we're going to have Root talks, and then we're going to have it. None of that stuff was known. And if I think towards the next 5 years, same thing. I have no idea where we're going to be in the next 5 years, but we have a long-term mission, vision, purpose, things that aren't just words on a website that we do take very seriously. About every decision we make, we kind of filter it through, does this align with our mission, our vision, our purpose, which is called the 30-year, the 40-year, the 50-year plan. And then I know what we're doing next quarter. But anything between there is anybody's guess. So it's kind of disconnecting, or letting yourself let go of, I don't know exactly what the steps are going to be, but I know what we value and what's important to us. And it's kind of like driving a car through the night. I'm driving to the East Coast. I know where I'm going. I can't see anything except for what's in front of me with the headlights, but that's all I need to see to get there on the journey. You just take the iterative steps, the iterative turns, the checkpoints when you need to. And if you just keep doing that, you're going to get to where you want to go.
And we know in the car, you're going to have Stillwater, the cookie, with Hamilton playing. So thank you, James, for coming on. As always, this is so fun. I love getting to do this and interview you. Your honesty and transparency is, quite frankly, why I'm here. And I'm just grateful for you. So thank you for coming on.
I see Janice put this. Someone needs to put Ari in the hot seat. We'll do this next time, Ari, where I ask the questions and you get to share some of the cool stories. But yeah, lots of fun. Thank you for having me.
That'll be fun. Thanks, Janice. See you, James.
See you, everyone.
Guys, I hope you enjoyed that. Is he not just the greatest? I mean, it just makes my life easy getting to interview him. Now, I knew a lot of those answers. For example, I knew he withdrew from a Roth IRA at way but beyond before 59 and a half. So I'm excited for you guys to get to hear that answer, and how he literally withdrew from his Roth IRA, which how often do we tell clients, like, don't do that. That's the best account for tax-free growth, to then start Root, which has led to a way more full life. So the financial answer is not always the right answer, but it's something that I find just so amazing about people. And James will share this. Maybe we'll do a part 2 of this, because there's a lot that was in here that I did not get to address. I'm going to do my best to go through right now in the chat, because in the past, you guys have said, hey, I just wish my question got addressed, and I hate not getting to address all of it. So I'm going to go through and just see if I can address it with like a quick scan in real time. But I have a surprise for you, because all of you have waited and chose to be here today. So I'm going to ask a few questions. I'm going to show you the surprise. So you're welcome, Chris. You're welcome, Lyle. Lyle, I saw your note, by the way, that you work every other Wednesday. So all good. Great show. Thank you. Really enjoyed this segment. Big corporate culture, could learn so much from how you are organized. Congrats and continued success, PETA. Can't wait for part 2 of this topic. Really enjoyable. What's up, Laura Shane? Yeah, scroll up, hit the thumbs up, everyone. It helps more people find this. So thank you, guys. Scott, of course, I loved your question so much. I wanted to address it immediately. And you can see I have questions that I'm in the hot tub with my fiance and dad and mom and brother going, James is going to love this question. And then I asked Josh, our head of culture, and Dylan, I'm like, hey, give me some good rugby questions or some James College questions to try to make this even sweeter. But yeah, I'll be in the hot seat for one of these. And we're also going to talk about, because many of you are here, but for those who are not, this was the first email that I sent to James in 2018. So there's a bigger story to this, and we'll talk about that. Yeah, Brian, for my honeymoon, we're just going to do a live interview. Are you kidding? That sounds awesome. Let's do it. So with all seriousness, here's the surprise. So how many of you are in the academy, the early retirement academy? That's where you have access to the software. Many of you are aware of this. You've shared it with me. So thank you. I have a surprise for you today. So this is the academy. This is the link. It's what I call a great gut check. You can use the software that I use in the videos. You can go in and build your own plan, see what you're on track for. What it's not going to do is give you specific recommendations or tax planning or estate planning. I tell everyone, I think the primary reason people pay us, although there's many reasons, objective third party and great financial management and optimization, sure. But it's ultimately so you can spend your time on what matters most with who matters most. And so it's a good gut check. However, a lot of you have resonated with it. And for those who don't know, it is an advisor-based software. So we are giving you all access, but it's designed for advisors. We have spoken to the company who have shared that we are able to do it. Here's the exciting new announcement that is literally something I have never discussed until right now. So you can see on my screen here. Let me make it bigger. I'm going to swap spots here. So this is the estate software that we'll use with clients. So you can see, you guys tell me in the chat here, how many of you are like, yes, I have a trust or a will, but I haven't updated it in forever, or I need a new trust, or medical directives and power of attorneys. Yeah, I've been meaning to get to that stuff, but I just haven't done it. Or you could be honest with me. But whether it comes a trust or medical directives or power of attorney or all of these things, we find there's so many people that haven't updated them, or they've meaning to get to it, but they just haven't yet. And this is now something that I can give you access to. I've spoken to this company. We have the ability through wealth.com. That's who we use for our estate planning. It's a one-time purchase. There's no legal or financial advice. If you are a current client of Root, you don't need to do this because it's all included and we're doing it with you, obviously. But in the same way, a lot of you are like, hey, yes, I'm using the software. I want to be a Root client, but I don't know when it makes sense. Or if you're like Michelle going, I've not done any of that stuff, no worries. I can't tell you how many people go, yep, I know I've been meaning to get around to it, but I just haven't done it yet. I'm going to put this link now in the chat. There are only a certain amount and we've spoken to the company, that we are going to allow for. So I'm not going to be going on a video in the near future just publicly announcing this. But for all of you who come consistently, who are live with us right now, you can see it in there. And Brian, I see this all the time. Yep, in the academy, I have a trust, but it's on my to-do list. I have all my estate documents completed. However, I've not updated them. For those who have not seen, I put out a video on, let me stop sharing for a second. Unless all of you want to see my passwords to everything, which I don't want to share. Yes, the FTM, talk to your family about your will or trust. Please don't let them find out after you're gone. Actually, you guys know I'm very transparent, so I will continue to be so. But you will see here, give me 1 second. I'm the one trying to man all of this today, so I appreciate your patience. Okay, so here's a sample client. Many of you are aware, but when you are in the software, you can play around really to the nth degree, and you put all your investments, link all your accounts, all that good stuff. So here's a sample person: brokerage account, 401k, Roth IRA, all this stuff. Guadapato 70 says, I'm in the academy, but I haven't graduated. I would argue I haven't graduated. This is a super powerful software. If you really want to master this, that's an entire job. Mike, what's my password? Just cauliflower, 1,000. No, I'm just kidding. Okay, so tax analyzer, there's like, this is really powerful. So if you want, you can absolutely, if you want to like go in here and mess around with 1040s and schedule one, like go have a blast. Okay. But that's not what I'm showing today. Today, I say there's 3 levels of estate planning. Level 1 is this right here. Do you have a will? Do you have power of attorney, a living will, healthcare, or a trust? Are all beneficiary designations updated? So this is just level 1. Is like, okay, if something were to happen to me, does my spouse know where to go to find who the executor is, the guardian, and when the last document was updated? From there, I'll say level 2 is the analysis. For example, here's someone who has, let's get a reminder here, they've got $987,000 and they've paid off their home with $600,000. I believe they don't want to spend a ton of money. Yes, so they're 55 and 54, planning to retire in eight years. So they only want to spend $4,000 a month as the base case. That does not include travel and healthcare. That's just the base case. But you can see here, their current analysis shows that they're on track for about $5.1 million. So they might not want to pass away with $5.1 million. So there's a lot of different tools that you can use. Credit shelter trust, charitable trust, spousal trust. This is called a Q-tip, a Q-perk here, all these fancy things that I'm not going to bore you to death or put you to sleep with. The reason I'm bringing this up is there are various levels to estate planning. What I'm talking about today is only level 1. This is like, if you want a super complex trust, like go to an estate attorney, please. This is just for you, Mike. Ready? Here we go. It's coming. It's coming. Let me stop sharing for a second. Boom. Oh, everyone's favorite, the disclosure section. Oh, here we go. I couldn't tell you how many times I've gotten in trouble for this. Advisory services are offered through Root Financial LLC, an SEC registered investment advisor. This content is intended for informational, educational purposes only. Should not be considered personalized investment, tax, or legal advice. You can read through all of this on your own after this, but that is the disclosure that needs to go up, which I've never forgot. For anyone ever watching, I've never forgot. No, I've forgotten. I'm a human here. But you can see here in the document center or the estate tool, the reason that we are allowing this to be available here is specifically it's for advisors. But what I really resonate with is the ease of getting to do it. But no, once again, designed for advisors here. So what we want is, if it's the thing that allows you to take action, awesome. But this, you can see here, one-time purchase, you have access. You have access as long as we have access. Same thing with the software. You continue to have access. So exactly that. Mike, compliance warms the soul. Mike makes me laugh here. Yes, there's lifetime access as long as we have access. So if you would like, once again, I'm going to put that link just in the chat right now, and you can go ahead and use that. And as always, I ask for feedback in the same way I ask for feedback for the software. I ask for feedback. Many of you will say, oh my gosh, this is so easy. I finally took action. I've personally found clients who have said, oh my gosh, this is something I've had on my to-do list forever, and I finally just did it. So guys, that's it for this episode. I think to round it out, because it's been such a special episode here, and let's talk the FTM real quick. If your attorney says not to tell your family about your estate planning, leave. This is what happened to me when my mom died. I had a mess to sort out. Ooh, we do not like that. You want a return on hassle to be low. You don't want to have to deal with these financial things on top of all the emotional burden that goes along when these things do occur. So guys, I saw amazing kind words about James. If you resonate with today's show, send us a note. Tell us if you have more ideas, what else you want to see. This is our inbox. So both James and I, we get to be able to see this. A lot of the team members here, hello@rootfinancial.com. We love all transparent feedback. Love the show, hate the show, more of it, less of it, more soccer. I can bring that in. So if that's a big request, soccer, cauliflower, James candy bar, even though we know he likes the cookie more now. That's it, guys, for this show. Next week, I have a good episode planned for you. I just don't know what it's going to be yet, but I'm working on it. Let's round this out with, I said rand, I just get too excited. We're going to round this out with the manifesto one more time. Peta, thanks as always. Scott, you're welcome. I do have a big announcement I almost forgot about. We are going to be moving the community. We're going to move the community to a new platform that hopefully will make it even more effective. There's better ways we can moderate. I know a lot of people go in there and they're in there who are not supposed to be in there, who are soliciting, or they're just being difficult or saying mean things. And so we try to moderate that as much as possible. Hopefully you guys have resonated with our community. I believe there's over 3,400 members, which is awesome. That's all of you guys in there communicating. So you're welcome. First live show for Guadapato. Judy had a first live show. Hope to see you guys every single week. These are really fun. Brian, good to see you as always. And we'll watch the manifesto and we'll be out of here.
We all have an idea of what life could look like if we had more time, more money. But more isn't the dream. It's what's made possible with more. Doors open, paths clear, and the future you've always imagined becomes the one you're living. At Root, we see financial wellness as a key, not to having more, but to living fully, freely, with purpose. We're here to walk alongside you, to turn uncertainty into clarity, and what if into why not? Because when you have a plan in place, you live more, you give more, you grow more. Those are the mores that truly matter. The ones that change everything.
That's how I work out, guys. I'm like, live more, give more, live fully. That's just, honestly, I get so hyped every time I see that. It's like I saw it for the first time. Now, I am worried. I don't think it'll happen. But for those of you who have listened to a song that you love it, and then you just keep listening to it because it's the best, and then you're like, I don't know if I'll love this song. I don't want to watch it too many times where I've got it totally memorized, but I will say I do love it, and I don't think I will get sick of it. So that's it for this live show. See